Hey everyone, this is Brad Black with High Performance Restoration, and I have with me here Brandon Cooley with Farmers Insurance. And I just wanted to have him just share a little bit of insight into what's going on right now with this ice storm and freezing conditions that we've had here in Texas. And just so homeowners really know kind of the steps to take, how to handle it. So Brandon, if you can explain to me and to everyone listening here what you would recommend they do. So if they get like a freezing pipe or they have water coming in from their roof. So we've been getting calls from people, because the roofs here in Texas are not designed for these type of conditions. So they're going to be getting leaks happen as this ice melts. Kind of what they should do in terms of if they decide that it's
Well, this is such a crazy situation that we're in because we really haven't experienced any sort of length of cold, snow and ice that we're getting right now. So this is kind of uncharted territory for a lot of us Texans. But regarding what the steps are to the claim process and everything is, number one, we're not going to really know the extent of what's happening with these claims and the damages probably until next week as everything is completely or starting to thaw. But we can take mitigating steps right now to make sure that we stay on top of that. So if you feel like that you have had a pipe burst or a leak and you're seeing physical damage, definitely first step needs to be to shut off your water to your house, because if you don't, all that's going to do is going to further the damage. And we want to not all insurance policies and insurance companies are made the same. And so what is covered and what isn't can vary drastically from company to company, even from policy to policy. And so with these claims, we need to be very, very mindful of how A, we file them, and B, when we file them. So let's talk about the part A of that first. This is a water claim, right? But it's also going to be part of a catastrophic freeze claim. So depending on how your adjuster, whenever you're filing the claim or talking to your agent, first of all, find out what the best verbiage to discuss with the adjuster is, number one, because how you file it is going to determine where it gets routed. And if, right now this is a catastrophic event, so it needs to get to the CAT claims department. And so that's going to depend a lot on how you get it processed and filed initially. Also, that being said, to kind of piggyback on what you said about the roofs not being able to withstand this type of cold, if you get a leak, you don't need to file a secondary roof claim. This is probably predicated on the water. So we want to keep those numbers of claims down for streamline purposes, A, for the adjuster, but B, also for the consumer and the policyholder as well, because the more claims you pile on, the worse that could be for the consumer in the long run with amount of claims. Because if you file a water and a roof claim, and let's say your premium skyrocket for a number of reasons, including these claims, right? Well, you're going to be stuck where you're at for at least 3 years generally, to be able to switch and shop around just due to claim frequency. So make sure you're discussing thoroughly with your agent before you file anything. Call them first, and then they can help you get who they trust and like to get like High Performance Restoration, get out there and do some water mitigation, understand what the actual problems are, get to the source and fix it accordingly, so you are out of the least amount of deductible, but also the least amount of time out of your home. Because frankly, I don't want any of my clients to have to use their alternate living expenses and be somewhere else, because right now hotels aren't really taking any new boarders right now based on this current situation. So it's a lot of information to unpack. It's a whole lot of different ways to manage what we're going through. But the first and foremost, call your agent and see what their opinions are. If they don't answer, there's a good chance they're on the phone with somebody else. There's a good chance their office is inundated with calls. So leave a message, text in, send an email. But this is going to be a frustrating time for everybody and a very difficult time. So let's all work together the best we can to help mitigate this the best we can.
Yeah, that's great advice. And so if someone doesn't call their agent first and say they do call the claim in, you recommend maybe to avoid the insurance starting to do two claims or things like that, really just talk about the freeze, like a freeze claim. Is that kind of the terminology they should use? Is there a certain terminology?
That's correct. Because even though water is at the heart of all this, it is freezing, which is causing different problems throughout the house, like the roof potentially having some ice damming issues, things like that, right? So it's going to determine what the adjuster is gonna say, right? And that's why calling your agent is going to be the most important thing, because every company may have a different method of how to file this. So we just got an update from farmers this morning in my district office that we need to initially start it as a water claim, but indicate immediately that it is a freeze claim. So it gets to the catastrophic department to make sure that everything's streamlined appropriately for the client, because we don't want this to take any longer than what it probably is already going to.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing homeowners need to realize is how backed up people are. So both on your side of the business, but also on the restoration side, there's no equipment. So we do have, there's semi trucks literally on the way full of dehumidifiers, dryers. So just to let people know, you just got to be patient and know to do what they can do right now to mitigate, get the water out if it's like standing water in the house, get the plumber out to fix the issue. A lot of times they can suck the water out with a pump. So, and we're here to assist in that too. So if anybody needs help with that, we can help start the process and just make sure the communication to the claim department, make sure they're approving the work that gets started. So you talk to the adjuster, and then they say, go ahead and start mitigating the work, or hire a company. And then we would send in our invoices directly to the insurance.
Okay, very good, very good. And let's actually talk about your side of the business for just a second too, because like you said, there's going to be some backups due to overload of work. I mean, there's only so many of you, right, to be able to get to people. Also, the roads are still in pretty rough condition for travel as it is. So what can I tell my clients, in the process of filing the claim, getting with the adjuster, and then of course on the back end dealing with the contractor? What can I tell them, to help ease their mind for time frame or delays?
Yeah, I think a lot of, one is just to be patient and not really, I think a lot of people get concerned about mold and things because, things are getting wet. It does take several days for mold to start to form. And so you just have to be patient. And then also a lot of the things that are getting wet will end up getting torn out. And so it's not going to be able to be dried out because there aren't the dryers here. So a lot of this stuff will just have to get torn out in the next week or so. So just to be patient and know that it's going to take a little while for everybody to get out and get these things taken care of. There is an order to the process. And we have to kind of follow that order. And a lot of that's dependent on availability of people, resources, really.
And I imagine resources are pretty slim. I see on Facebook, I have a lot of, friends that are on your side of the industry, whether they're roofers, plumbers, you name it. And it seems like it's all hands on deck right now. So, if anybody needs anything, Facebook seems to be a very, very powerful tool to reach out to at least get some information. There's a lot of the what to do's, but I'm not seeing a lot of what not to do. So do you have any opinions on your side about things that we should be avoiding regarding anything within the home, water leaks and whatnot?
I mean, you do want to avoid doing an unnecessary, filing an unnecessary claim. So I think some people, they get a little pipe burst maybe on an exterior wall, but they're able to shut off the water really quickly. That's the other thing. Make sure if you do get something bust, shut off the water to the main immediately. So you might even want to do a practice run, before, if you haven't had anything happen yet, and just make sure you know how to shut off the main. But you don't want to just immediately call your insurance and call in a claim. You probably want to call someone like ourselves. A lot of times you can do it through photos, but if we can get out there really quick, we can look at it and say, okay, there's enough, let's, go ahead and call your insurance so we can get that process started. But in a lot of cases, you might just end up paying a plumber to fix the pipe and you dry it out quickly, and then you can avoid filing a claim. So that's kind of what, you don't want to unnecessarily file a claim, but you also don't want to wait too long either to call them if we need to. So really just getting in touch with someone like myself and just assessing the damage, assessing the situation.
Okay, that
Getting a plumber out there as quick as you can. Obviously they're backed up too, but I have one that's just continually just going from one place to the other, and he's doing them pretty quick.
that's fantastic. We need to make sure that we shout out anybody that we can for that reason. But also to kind of talk about what you just said about unnecessarily filing a claim. If you call the 1-800 claims number, that's effectively the same thing of filing a claim. It's going to show up on your loss history, which is going to, like I said earlier, it could prevent you from being able to shop later on. And then you have to go through a long process of getting something called a letter of experience from the provider that you have now to basically state, no, there was no claim, they just called. It's a pain in the butt and it's a big hassle. So always avoid that. And the number one thing, like I said earlier, is call the agent first, whether it's your current agent, whether it's someone you know in the insurance industry, but definitely call someone who has eyes on your policy that can physically tell you what is or isn't included, because every policy is different somewhere down the line. And we want to make sure that whoever's covering you, you're getting the best help that you can the quickest.
Yeah. And one question I get, and I had this come up recently, is just regarding their deductible. And obviously they're going to change, different deductibles, different policies, but also different types of claims. So, a lot of times, in a wind and hail claim, that's a different deductible. This is what you're saying is like a water freeze claim.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain like the difference there, or typically how that works, or the differences in deductibles and what homeowners should be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 3 deductibles on a policy. There's the wind and hail, and in Texas, it's traditional that we'll see a 1% deductible, and that percentage is based on the dwelling coverage on the home. So on a $300,000 home, it's a $3,000 deductible. That, of course, can be manipulated on how high or low you want that, but in Texas, generally 1% is going to be the lowest because wind and hail claims are the most common. The second clause is for tropical storm, which of course we're landlocked, that's not an issue. But then the third one is all peril or all risk, all the other stuff outside of those 2 things, and that's going to cover fire, and then in this case water and freeze. So that number can be manipulated in a lot of ways as well, from a percentage amount, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even in some cases people have $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 and up, depending on the dwelling value of their home and how much they want to pay in premium. They can adjust those with their agent to either save or spend more premium, depending on how they want it set up. But it's pretty common that you're going to see 1% on that as well. But you can't rule out that someone might not have a $1,000 all peril. And if that's the case, fantastic. That's way less money out of the consumer pocket. And if that's something that you don't know that you have, or you think you might, call your agent, find out, because at the end of it all, calling your agent in their office to figure out what you do or don't have is the easiest step, because I do insurance every day and I learn new stuff every day. So for a consumer who doesn't play in this arena, if you don't know, don't make assumptions, call and ask. It's the easiest way to get the information.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. Yeah. So basically, like you said, call the agent, check your policy before you file a claim. You also might want to have the damage assessed to see how much the damage will be, because if it's not over your deductible, it's not worth filing a claim. And then us as a company, we can help on both cases, whether it's a claim or not. We can do financing, even if it's a smaller amount, to limit that immediate out of pocket that you do to take care of it.
Well, no, I'm glad you mentioned that about assessing the damage, because even if the damage amount, let's say it's more than the deductible, everybody's financial situation is relative to them. And if they're in a position where, let's say they've got a $3,000 deductible and it's $5,000 worth of damage, if they can pocket or come out of pocket the extra $2,000, that might be their best option anyways, just for the longevity of their policy and just being able to not have that claim. Because what people don't realize is a lot of times it's not the claim itself that's going to raise the premium. It's losing the discount of being claim free. And so it's that's why it's so imperative and important to the client for their total annual cost to, if they can avoid the claim, avoid it at all costs, because it's going to help you out in the long run.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And like I said, so a lot of times you can finance something like that. It's $50 a month. That $50 a month might be less than the amount you end up paying in your insurance premium increase.
Correct.
Okay. Well, thanks, Brandon. We will
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And just give either one of us a call if you have questions about policy. Call Brandon, or want damage assessed, you can call us.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I hope this was helpful and informative to anybody who's listening. And like Brad said, yeah, call us. Call your agent, call somebody. You know, even if it's not us helping, we want to make sure that everything is done appropriately for you. So,
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much